We apologize for that break. This is still News Tonight on Afia Television, and I am Ogochukwu Osai. And like I said, I'm already joined by Mr. Obon Kings, Afia TV business correspondent. Welcome again, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. Now, today, like we heard in the news, Ipman has finally had an agreement with Dangote to take petroleum products directly from his refinery. Right. So what do you think about this? What does it hold for us from a business side of things?
Frankly, let's start from the beginning, right? The background to this was the fact that Dangote allegedly his pricing was higher than what was expected. As a matter of fact, Ipman came out, I think last week, to actually accuse Dangote Refinery by saying that Dangote Refinery of a sort sold the price they're selling was higher than the ones they would get if they were importing. And interestingly, that was not true. Okay, because findings that have emerged have actually shown that that was not true, really. Because from what we found out before I come to the fact that Dangote and Ipman have agreed and they have the terms and conditions to be able to lift petroleum products, one thing I need to establish is the fact that before Dangote revealed how much he sold his, petroleum product, particularly petrol, in this case scenario, there was a lot of speculations. A lot of persons were saying that Dangote, to a large extent, was playing the monopoly game. Yes, a lot of persons had that mentality. But over time, and quite recently, we now know how much he sells. He sells for about 900 and something naira. Now, understand this. This amount is what he sells or what he sold, so to speak, to NNPCL. But you see, independent marketers, what they do is they add their own cost on top of it. Between 5 naira to as much as 100 naira, depending on location where their filling stations are. And this is actually what is costing the increase. Because if you look at the amount Dangote is giving this thing, it's not as high as, one would have said. Now, plus the fact that you should also understand something, that the federal government was still subsidizing, as it were, petroleum products that was being brought into the country. They were still subsidizing. But when it came to Dangote, they really didn't do that. So it was as he sells it at the price he's selling it, that's the price that it goes into the market, right? And then we finding out recently, in fact today, this evening, that Ipman and Dangote have agreed that Ipman can come directly to purchase these things. It's a good thing, right? Because normally what Ipman would have done is to go to the major marketers. There were major marketers before. It's like this. I produce, I sell to major marketers. Major marketers now sell to other marketers, right? So there was a middleman. The middleman was a major marketer. So in this case, the major marketers have technically been removed from the picture. Of course, major marketers will add their own money.
Yes, of course.
Right? Of course. So by the time the other marketers now come to purchase, they also add their own product. Then pass that on to the consumer. So in this case scenario now, where Ipman, with quite a number of branches all over the country, in fact, all over the states of the federation, coming to buy directly from Dangote, it makes the pricing, we should expect that the pricing should be lower over time. Hopefully that works.
Hopefully that works.
Yes.
Now, Dangote is promising to produce something that is going to sustain the whole country. I mean, he's promising to supply to over 30,000 Ipman members and over 150,000 retail sellers. Now, what do you think this is sustainable? And also, what is the risk? What are the risks you think are associated with relying heavily on one person?
Truth of the matter is, if Dangote's refinery has a 650,000 barrel capacity, what it simply means is he can actually produce as much. Okay, the capacity of that particular refinery is enough to take care of Nigeria's daily needs. And as a matter of fact, from what I heard, it also has the capacity to expand that a little bit more to cater for outside neighboring countries. Yes. So yes, he has the capacity, but the problem we had initially was pricing. You see, once the pricing issue has been taken care of, I think, yes, to a large extent, a lot of marketers will now begin to buy from him. Prices should ideally reduce. And then there's the B part. The B part was the fact that Dangote did he accused some major marketers of actually getting substandard petroleum products into the country, blaming them of trying to feed the Nigerian people with substandard products which are obviously cheaper than what he's selling. And it's just like you and I know already, there are grades of clothes if you want to buy again. There's the one that is the original, which should not be as cheap as the other one we call bend down select. Yes, it will still give you some of value, but then not the same thing. So and then the B part, the C part now is the fact that this particular petroleum products could harm the environment. It could also harm, so to speak, our vehicles and the places we put this, commodity.
All right. Now, we're running out of time already, but I would like to ask this last question. Okay. What other economic benefits do you think this holds for us in terms of job creation and local investment?
Oh, well, clearly, I mean, the fact that there's a whole value chain in this, really, a whole value chain. Don't forget that byproducts of making available, petroleum products is LNG, liquefied natural gas. So on the other hand, we have the possibility of producing LNG, and then of course you should also understand that in itself has a way of making sure that persons are engaged in this value chain. There's a whole lot of value chain. So yes, it also makes sure more Nigerians are absorbed, because when you have foreigners come and do this, most likely they will employ most of their own kind of persons, right? But when we have Nigerians handling it, owning it, yes, more Nigerians may be engaged in the process. But then again, it's still based on speculations.
Based on speculations. Hopefully everything turns out very well. Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.